Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Race Course, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Racing Across America. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us live at Saratoga in front of Clare Court. And again, the sun has been popping in and out this morning. I think after some rain overnight that has knocked us off the turf, if you haven't heard, I think it's going to be a nice day here. Don't forget, there's the bucket hat giveaway today up here at the track. So if you come by, you can get that as well. As far as the show this morning, we will be joined a little bit later on by our friend Matt Hegarty from the Daily Racing Forum. He was in town a couple of weeks ago, doing the Jockey Club Round Table, back in this week with the Racing and Gaming Conference. So we'll talk some of the issues that were discussed at both of those events and more with Matt Hegarty coming up. And I had a guest scheduled a little bit later to talk about the King's Plate that will be run up in Woodbine on Sunday. Nice full field scheduled in there. Unfortunately, a guest a little under the weather, but I'll still kind of go over the field and give you some ideas a little bit later on and hit on some news and notes as well. But we're going to open things up with longtime stalwart on the NYRA scene as far as a trainer, but now has moved on to other endeavors. So we'll hit on Gary Gullo. Gary, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on board to talk about things. And as I was driving in, I was thinking, I did this with somebody else just within the last week. I was thinking, you've been away from the training side a couple of years, and I thought it's probably longer than that, right?
No, it's been about 2.5 years, I guess. You're right.
I was in the ballpark. Okay.
There.
I feel better about that. And let's talk a little bit about it. When you sat down, I asked you, define the partnership a little bit, and we'll hit on some of the things you guys are doing.
Sure. Well, it's a GMP farm, and we have, it's more like a rehab. It's more like for horses to go out and get diagnosed. And we have a hyperbaric chamber. We have cold water spa, salt spa. If you go on gmpfarm.net, you can see everything that's on it.
And I pulled up some shots, and for folks who aren't familiar, it's the old stone bridge. And it's just that aerial view is gorgeous. You have the training track,
yes.
And it's, from here, it's 15, 20 minutes away. And it's pulled up some shots also of some of the therapeutic areas and some of the stalls. But talk a little bit about, what folks can get. And it's a layup facility and whatnot. And
it's and we have a training track too, so we can get them ready. But we don't only have thoroughbreds. We have trotters that go.
Okay.
We have equestrian horses. We have just riding horses. And they're really there for maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Just so we can get them turned around and get back to doing what they can do, whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, and I was kind of amazed. Again, people visit the website, and there's a drop-down menu with all the services and the equipment you guys offer. And really, it seems like you guys took over Stonebridge, but rehab maybe is the wrong word. Reimagining, and you brought all the state-of-the-art kind of equipment to the facility.
Today's day, it's really kind of needed, and it's good, refreshing for the horses.
So. And I was reading some testimonials as well. Notable trainers have been using the facility since you guys have gotten up and running.
Yeah, we have a lot of trainers coming out, and a lot of the top guys. So. And
what is the game plan for sending a horse up there, as you say, for a few weeks or whatever? When would somebody use it?
Well, sometimes the horse is just immature or just going a little crabby and not really, kind of knowing really what's happening. And then we'll get him up there. We have thermal imaging that we could do. We have a lot of to diagnose really what's going on with the horse. And then once we kind of figure out what's going on with the horse, we can work on them. We have multiple things. We have lasers, magna waves, cryotherapy, vibrating floors. We have a lot of things that we could, put in place, and we kind of got it down pretty good on, recovery time is quick.
Yeah.
So
I saw that you mentioned. I saw in the drop vibrating floor. That one I'm unfamiliar with. Horse people probably are. What is the vibrating floor, and how does that work?
well, it's good. It's for like bone density. If
Okay.
horse has feed issues, a lot of times if they have bone bruising, it'll help them. It's a little concussion. It's a little,
Okay.
and they can, they stay in there for like 25 minutes or so, which is it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'd never heard of that before. That's kind of wild. So again, that facility is kind of just up the road, the old stone bridge that you guys and how long has it been open?
Well, we bought it 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, and we redid the racetrack. We put up a new barn. We put in the hyperbaric chamber. So it's right now it's operating fully. So it's just maybe since January we kind of got everything done.
And what is the track surface?
It's the poly track. It's the Tapeta.
Okay, I thought
track.
it was a synthetic.
Yeah, and then also we have heated barns. So in the wintertime, it's 40 to 45 degrees. So it's, all year long.
Excellent. GMP, you also do a little racing and a little breeding?
Yeah, we have 13 mares. We have them down in Kentucky with Windstar. We babies, we're still active in that. We wish we would be a little more active in the racing end, which will start coming on soon. So, the yearlings we'll have, and we buy some babies, 2-year-olds. So we're active there also.
And from some of my reading last year, you had one or two in the New York bred sale. Anything this year?
Yeah, we had two this year. Last year we sold one for $1,050,000.
Oh,
yeah. So we did. We got spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So this year we sold one and bought one back, and then we have some other horses in the Keeneland sale.
Okay.
So we're just kind of generate money, and because I've seen a lot of guys they come in and they don't want to sell, and then a couple of years later, you're just going for a lot of money.
So the $1 million horse is named. It's one.
The horse name is Camera.
Okay.
Todd Pletcher has the horse.
Oh, okay.
I think the horse is going to run the end of this month.
Oh, all right. So we'll look for that. And you said they're down in Kentucky, so they aren't New York. Oh, but
well,
you're in New York bred sale.
We have a couple of New York breds that we have up here with Duchess U Farm.
Okay.
So we have 2 mares right now.
So was that one of them, or was it in the main sale?
No, this one was in the main sale.
Okay.
That sold for the $1,050,000 was the main sale.
But the New York breds, and I mention this to people all the time on the show because I think we get new people and they aren't familiar. If you're a breeder on the New York bred side of things, you're watching the horse throughout the career because it sells, and you're still making money if they win.
Yes, something. It's a great thing, especially having New York breds. But you always root for them. It's kind of like your grandchildren. It's like Layla and Amelia, my grandchildren, and it's just more. It's pretty cool to watch and everything like that.
So again, we'll look for that one coming up as well. And you say you're looking for more racing stock. Have you had any horses up here racing at the meet at all?
We had one race on the grass. Ran okay. We got him with Georgia Brew. And then we have a few with Linda that's going to run at the end of the meet. So, we should do okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I had also, I just couldn't get you in here without talking a little bit about the training side of things. And I pulled up a Saratoga win, September 4th, 2017. It's the number 2 ring knocker for trainer Gary Gullo. So we'll watch a Saratoga win for you. Talk a little bit about the training career. And I'm sure on the owner side of things, it's the same. Talk a little bit about on the trainer side of things, though, winning a race up here at Saratoga.
Well, actually, this race here, we ended up beating Chad Brown on this. And it ended up making Todd Pletcher win the title. So, Todd texted me right after the race.
September 4th.
He texted me. This was the last day, I think. And Todd said, thanks for the assist, this was a fun day. She just got up and won.
What's the chart margins and neck? So that's oh, very good. Yeah, last day. And but it has to be special winning races up here.
When you win up here, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I don't care what kind of race you win. It's just it's great to be up here.
Yeah.
This is an exciting place. Everybody's having fun. It's great to win.
Yeah, this place has the special sauce, certainly. And you go out in the backyard, young, old men, women, and always a lot of fun. Are you based up here now?
Well, in the wintertime, I go to Naples, Florida.
Okay.
So I'm down there, and then we'll go to Kentucky, just try to get the racing stock going. And but in the summertime, I'm up here on the farm.
Yeah, that's the life. Up here in the summer, Florida in the winter.
Well, I work for a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine, and he's one of those guys that can take it on the chin pretty good. So he's a great guy. He's got a couple of bed and breakfasts here.
I was just about to tee up for that because we talked about the horses and the horses getting the special spa treatment and whatnot. But for folks who are coming up to Saratoga during the racing season and beyond, you guys are now tied in GMP with a couple of bed and breakfasts right here on Union Avenue.
Yeah, my son TJ runs both of them. It's the Union Gables and the Brunswick. So there's 2 bed and breakfasts right here. Nice places,
Yeah.
Very nice.
I always tell people if you're thinking about coming up to the races, that there are those bed and breakfasts. Literally, you are walking distance from the racetrack.
Yeah.
And if you just want to hang out an afternoon, you
Yeah.
get all the results because you sit on the front porch.
No,
People are going to be walking by all day long.
Right.
Yeah.
The front porch was great to watch races. I was never a bed and breakfast guy, until I stayed there one night. I said, this is pretty cool. You're not staying in somebody's house.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's good.
And how's the breakfast?
Very good. It's excellent. Yeah, it's all good. It's really a nice place.
Yeah. And as I say, it's all year round as well. So if people want to do one of those staycations, there are other parts of the year, keep those in mind also. One of the other reasons we wanted you in today is because tomorrow's Lustgarten Day over on the front side. The Lustgarten Foundation does research into pancreatic cancer, and you were a big part about getting this whole day started here at NYRA. So I wanted to tee you up in just memories of Dominic Galuccio, a trainer who passed away from pancreatic cancer, up in the press box a few years ago. Our colleague Mike Jarbo passed away. My brother passed away from pancreatic cancer. So I support the great work the Lustgarten Foundation does. But tomorrow, talk a little bit about the day and just memories of Dominic Galuccio.
Yeah, it was something. It's this organization is very good. 100% of the money goes there. It's about early detection. It's just and I lost my other friend too. He's a blacksmith. There's Ray Amato Jr. on that also. A few years after Dominic. It comes quick, and it's like it's hard to detect. So, this organization's been doing a great job. It's actually, all of these trainers getting together, really, it's a nice thing.
Yeah.
They all come out, they all, supporting for a great cause. Everybody wears purple, in the paddock, the purple ribbons and the purple saddle towels.
Dominic, of course, with the purple sport.
Yeah, well, he had his purple sport jacket. We used to make fun of him all the time. We come in with a yellow one, a purple one, and call him Barney. Who would have known that he'd be, with a purple Lustgarten?
Yeah.
But sorry to hear about your brother.
Yeah, no, but that made it, brought it home to me just how kind of devastating quick it was. But as you say, this is a great organization with 100%, and they're making progress, and that's the good news.
They are making progress. Another thing, I just want to thank NYRA also, because they're really, and NYTHI, Will, and everybody, Abigail, they're doing a great job, getting everybody together and just trying to work together on everything, because it's not easy to try to get all of the trainers together and the people to come out also. Even if you come and get anything signed, win pictures, hats, anything is fine. And again, NYRA and NYTHA, great job.
Yeah, Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, our friend Will over there, and all participating. But you alluded to it, trainer autograph session tomorrow. That's annually part of the the whole deal with Lustgarten Foundation Day. That'll be 11:30 to 12:30 out by the Jock Silks room. If you don't know where that is, ask some employee. They'll point you in the right direction. But 11:30 to 12:30, you suggested donations, but as you say, you can bring in anything you want and get signed by all the trainers are going to be there.
Yeah. It's like, anything $5 will go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and the trainers will be there, and
that's a great way to have a whole lineup of them sitting there. If you're thinking, I would love autographs from this one, this, and they'll all be there tomorrow, 11:30 to 12:30, out by the Jock Silks room. And again, a great cause and a great day, and hats off to you and the whole team for kind of starting it. And again, Naira and the company for keeping it going, certainly. Gary, appreciate the visit this morning. And again, farm looks like just that you guys have done a great job with Stonebridge and kind of making that into a new and literally a 21st century facility, I think is fair to say.
It is. It's it's nice putting it together, and anybody's more than welcome to come out there and you check it out and you see it's a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
And we're making good progress.
And again, if you go to the website, you can see some of the videos and whatnot as well. GMP Farm, check it out online as well. Appreciate the visit. We'll talk again.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
Gary Gullo. All right, we'll take a break. He's in the house. Matt Hegarty will join us momentarily to talk a little racing and gaming conference, Jockey Club Round Table, all of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Yeah, don't forget tomorrow if you're at the track, go over and get some autographs and make a donation. Even if you're here a little later in the day, make a donation. Lustgarten Foundation doing great work, pancreatic cancer research. All right, we will now be joined by our friend Matt Hegarty. As I noted earlier, Racing Gaming Conference. He covered that this week. A couple of weeks ago, he's doing the Jockey Club Round Table. So as we do kind of annually, a little recap on both of those industry confabs, as they say with Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Seth.
Yeah, happy to have you. And it seems like the conferences, and I have a little video of some of the panel discussions over at the Jockey Club Round Table, just to drop in as B-roll kind of stuff. But notable Pat Cummings and Marshall Graham, a couple of guys who have been talking about the subject for a while. The CAW, certainly at the Racing and Gaming, it sounds like, but we have the video of the Jockey Club Round Table. The industry as a whole, I'm not sure there are good solutions to this exactly, but I would say over the past few months, the Financial Times had an article about it that I think generated some conversation. I think what these guys were talking about certainly opened some eyes. But as I say, computer-assisted wagering has become a hot topic.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the pools. The industry is making some money off it. There's a lot of fears that if you were to shut these guys off, then you're shutting down a lot of revenue that does flow to the industry. But as I said in an article the other day, I think it's reached an inflection point. They're probably at the CRWs are probably at their limit. They can't go much higher without cannibalizing each other. And it just seems like everyone is desperate to find a solution, but no one knows what that solution is yet. If you talk to guys like, Marshall Graham, he's kind of an advocate for looking for ways to give the casual player what they're calling the retail bettor now, kind of the tools to kind of rebalance the pools. And it's hard for me to figure out how this is going to get solved. It's not a good time to be a casual player in the pools right now.
And for folks who aren't familiar with the CAWs, these are guys who are using programs to analyze the pools, but they also have, and that's my question. I mean, it seems like, but again, there's so much money. The industry, I think, is shy to make major changes, but they're plugged right into the pool, so they can bet right up until the gate opens in a way that the retail bettor, the average bettor can't. And they're analyzing the pools. And I read your article. I have not yet watched the the Jockey Club Round Table. I have to pull that up. But they were talking about the tools. But if the regular bettors got the tools, wouldn't they just wind up on the same horses? So I'm not sure that benefits the odds.
Yeah, so that's one of the weird things. Like there's 15 probably programs out there, or 15 betting teams that are using these programs that not only have direct access, to the tote system as far as batching their bets at the last second, but they also get a look at all the detailed pool data that the regular player doesn't see either. They see everything in the trifecta pool, right? So, their big betting strategies is to look at those big pools in which the data is hidden from the retail bettor and throw a bunch of differently denominated bets at it in the hopes that, you're just churning 5 or 6%. Like, these guys aren't looking for $1 million every time. They're taking their rebate, hoping they beat the effective takeout and churn out a 5 or 6% profit every year, right? So if those programs are similar to each other, if they're remarkably similar, then they land on the same horse, and then they have to divide up all the winnings amongst themselves, and they can actually lose that way, right? Because they'll take the price down so much. But the kind of defense they have against that is they can all see what everybody's doing, in the pool before that, before all the bets get put in. So I just don't know what the solution is to this, other than a solution that the industry is never going to consider, and that is to just cut all takeouts to 10 to 12% for everybody, stop rebating players, and see what happens. That's the only solution that works.
And I thought exactly the same thing. And Marshall Graham has kind of talked about that as too, maybe changing the rebate structure a little bit. But again, for folks who aren't aware, we have new players in here. These guys, as you say, we are now calling the average person the retail customer. That makes them the wholesale, and you kind of get it. They're like the bulk buyers. I mean, if I walked into a big store and said, I want 100 of your TVs, you would get a discount on that. And so this is the thing, they're putting so much money in, they get a rebate, which kind of, as you say, if you're betting $1 billion, you make your 5% or whatever, you wound up with a pretty good year. Yeah, that wholesale retail analogy is a little weak, I think, because you're not walking in to a store and competing against that person, right? Whereas this is a pari-mutuel pool. Everyone should kind of be playing by the same rules, right? I know that I started having that argument 20 years ago, and I've lost it every year. So, I've stopped making that argument, but we're seeing the, you reap what you sow. We started on this path to rebates. Every good player, I get them. Every established player, now gets them in some shape or form. And there
there was at the Racing and Gaming Conference, there was a speaker there who said that now the CRWs are arguing with all the racetracks because they think other teams are getting bigger rebates than them, right? So it's like, there's only one solution. The industry is going to have to bite the bullet and say no rebates for everybody and take out his 12%.
And I think, and you've kind of alluded to it, does that happen? And I think people in the last 6 months or so, some of the information has come out, including you talked about at the conference and whatnot. Your article mentioned like a third of the handle. Which.
But that third, you're not getting a whole lot. The industry's not getting a whole lot back on that, right? I mean, well, the host fee, like if NYRA's selling it for 9%, though the CRW in some way is paying that 9%. So it depends on what you're selling your signal for. But then we've seen things like, the casinos are contributing so much to the purse accounts everywhere. The purse accounts are almost insulated now, a little bit. Like we're seeing in Texas, like they can't even simulcast anywhere, and their purses have hardly gone down, right? Because they're getting a subsidy from a tax break, right? So you'd have resistance from everyone. You'd have resistance from the racetracks. They'll say that our revenue is going to get halved because of this. You'll have resistance from the horsemen who say, well, what do we do to keep purses up? So I just don't see it happening. But there isn't a mathematical solution to this than that solution, right?
Yeah. As I say, it was discussed.
If they're that good, then they can beat the 12% takeout, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the question: are they that good, or does the rebate mitigate needing to be that good?
Yeah.
But again, it was discussed at the roundtable. It was discussed earlier this week at the Racing and Gaming Conference. Was there anybody saying, here's the magic bullet?
No. I just, like I said, I think it's just reached a point, and they're probably at their limit, like I said. So we're going to have to deal with this limit, this 1/3 forever, right? Unless nothing changes. The only problem is Pat Cummings, points out, and all the numbers he's run is that as these guys have grown, the share of other people betting has just plummeted, right? And that's because everybody's getting killed, right?
That's what Marcia Graham does. He then looks at the rebates and what these guys are doing, and he says effectively the average guy's takeout has now gone up.
So it's not a tenable position anymore. The industry has got to figure out something, right? Either figure out a way for the casual players to be playing at a lower takeout without rebating. You do see, NYRA's been creative. They told the computers, okay, you got to be in before 2 minutes to post on win pools, and they stopped playing it because they lose their advantage. But NYRA says their win betting has not gone down. So kind of shows that you can have pools out there that don't have CRWs in them, and they'll survive. So people hopefully are going to get creative, right?
Talking about it, I suppose, at least is a good thing that we're now kind of recognizing it, because a lot of that, again, for the folks who aren't familiar, a lot of this is what plays into, hey, my horse left the gate at 9-2 and then came under the line at 2-1.
Right.
That's a lot of these guys are plugged into the pools, and so at least it's getting talked about. Maybe we're moving in a direction to address it in some fashion. Another topic, and again, pulled up a little video from the Jockey Club Round Table. Lisa Lazarus talking, and you see the entire panel. But HISA, we're a year in. I had Lisa here earlier, and she talked a little bit about the pros and cons of how the first year has gone. What were the discussions over the past couple of weeks at again, the industry confabs vis-a-vis HISA?
Yeah, so the round table obviously is put on by the Jockey Club. Jockey Club has been a kind of a stalwart supporter of HISA since the beginning. They, for 10 years, they've been trying to get legislation passed that would create a structure like HISA. So, they're obviously going to stack the deck. They put, supporters of HISA on their panel. And they wanted to just get out there that if you think horsemen are, as a group, opposed to HISA, well, at least here's two trainers that say they support it very much. And I think, Heise has taken a lot of knocks since the medication control program launched on May 22nd. Horsemen are, I think they're nervous and they're scared that they're going to get hit with one of these suspensions, which now, if you get caught with a banned substance, it's 2 years, right? And we've seen it get adjudicated where it's a 22-month suspension and an 18-month suspension for drugs that probably would have gotten you 30 to 60 days before if you didn't get even less than that. So it's a new world out there. I think everyone should remember that the drugs that these guys did get caught for are not approved for use in horses. They have no business being given to horses, right? So when people are like, well, what's going on? How come these guys are getting 2 years? It's because they used a banned substance, right? I mean, do we say cheating's okay? Because it kind of seems like before Heise we did say that cheating was okay, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of growing pains. But if this forces every trainer to clean up his tack room and forces veterinarians to just stop giving these things because no one tested for them before, no matter what their effect is, I think that's good for the game. Yeah. It probably will be good for owners' wallets too.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. And Lisa said, and I asked her last year when we had her in, and again this year, they've been very open to the horsemen saying, hey, let's look at this and this and this. And it's kind of an ongoing process. It's a brand new process. It's now putting the entire industry over a kind of a national umbrella, which the industry on the fan side and the horseman side have been asking for, because it had been, hey, you can do this over here, but not over here. And so hopefully now it's a little more uniform. But we had the other side of the coin, it sounds like, at the Racing and Gaming Conference.
Yeah, at the Racing and Gaming Conference, I think they probably looked at the roundtable lineup and said, "Well, we'll go ahead and we'll stack it with the opponent." So you did have some people. The Louisiana Attorney General has was out in front of this. One of the first, at least, state's attorney generals to file a lawsuit trying to enjoin Heise. They were able to get a stay until their issues get addressed on appeal. So Heise is not actually in force there in Louisiana or in West Virginia. So these people are opposed to a federal program. I'm not sure. Everyone has been talking about national rules and how good those would be, but there are some states out there, Texas being another one, who believes that they're better off regulating it on their own. So we'll probably have to see what happens in the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit will take oral arguments in October. I would assume there would probably be a judgment by the end of the year. If the Fifth Circuit continues to say Heise is unconstitutional, then you're looking at a Supreme Court case. So this could take years to figure out.
And Texas being now insulated without the ability to simulcast outside of Texas, that is a function of Heise, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So, Heise's was given jurisdiction over any race that was made available for simulcast betting across state lines. So that was kind of their enforcement mechanism. And so Texas said, well, we don't want to put our tracks in jeopardy of any kind of legal jeopardy because of that. So they can't simulcast. Now they did come back and say, no, we think you're fine. Go ahead and simulcast. But the companies that own the tracks, they're like, we're not going to, try and fight a lawsuit here if Heise comes after us. So they're just biding their time. And, if you're a Texas racing fan and you live not in Texas, sorry, right? You haven't seen a Texas race in a year.
Yeah. No, it's been a funny situation. And your article on the Racing and Gaming Conference was also, again, that was a little more negatively based, but they were talking about some of the costs. And I think that's been a consideration all around. And I asked Lisa Lazarus that, and I said, is there and she said there was kind of a sliding scale, whereas A circuits, it's a little bit different than the C circuit. They recognize that the costs are going to be a little bit different, as the ability to pay a little bit different from the A to the B to the C circuit.
Yeah, so it's weighted. So it's the number of races that you have, right? Which is the right kind of base, because you got to test all the horses or test the horse in each of these races, but then it's weighted for purse. So if you're a jurisdiction like Louisiana, they do run a lot of races, and their purses are subsidized by casinos. So they're not A, but they're not C.
Yeah.
You know, so it does cost quite a bit. You know, the raw number is pretty big. But that's what it costs to regulate a sport.
Yeah.
You know,
and the states have kind of been deciding how each one, it seems like, deciding how we're going to.
You know, thank God no one's raised the takeout. You know, so because I
So
think
far.
all of us, I think all of us had fears, right?
Yeah.
That there was going to be at least one jurisdiction that said, yeah, we're going to make the bettors pay for this. Yeah.
No, I'm knocking, but so far so good. Also, I found it interesting. Racing and Gaming Conference. They talked a little bit about, and you mentioned they may not be as strict from now on with exclusions from racetracks. It seems kind of based on what's happened to Baffert down in Kentucky.
Yeah, I think, you know, what I was arguing in that article is that the frequency of exclusions would become far more rare, right? And that's because, you know, with all the Baffert lawsuits that you saw go forward, you know, New York was kind of given a path like, okay, if you want to exclude someone, then this is how you do it. Like a judge basically walked them through it, just held their hands and said, this is how you do it. Okay, now you can do it that way, right? And then there's the simultaneous argument from a lot of lawyers is that because the rules are so much broader under HISA, that you'll have HISA suspending people under those rules that sometimes racetracks were using to ban people, right? So, you know, I think that's good for the game because you don't want all this stuff playing out in courts, having everything, in limbo for these, years on end. I mean, the Baffert case is still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's not a good look for the game. It's not good for the regulation of the game. Certainly not good for anyone, for any participant in the game to not be sure what the rules are and what a violation, means. So
I'll say we've seen it up here at this meet. It's not a HISA thing, but I think it may be a function of HISA. We've had some jockey suspensions up here that were kind of quickly decided, and the jocks took this. It used to be you got suspended at Saratoga. You were appealing. You'd wind up taking your suspension in December and going on vacation.
Yeah,
and
waiting until you plan to run at Finger Lakes.
Yeah,
right.
And so again, that's not directly HISA, but I think it's a function of
well, it is the HISA regulation for their rules and their adjudication process. So you are seeing those penalties get served a lot quicker, which, if you did the crime, do the time, and do it here at Saratoga, right?
That just seems fair.
Yeah,
There's always
exactly.
Hey, I'll push it back until
right.
I don't want to ride these next 3 days anyway. I'm going on.
Exactly.
Another thing that when I was going through the Daily Racing Forum, and again, you can check out Matt's work. The hard copy of the Racing Forum is certainly drf.com. This is going to be interesting to see how it plays out because there was a lot of discussion this year. They're talking in Maryland now about maybe moving the Preakness, but New York is, and I get both sides of the argument, but I think it was interesting that Maryland is at least thinking of, moving the Preakness.
Yeah, that looked like a trial balloon to me, right? So, let's start talking about it in July and August, right? They didn't say they wanted to do this in March, which would have, grabbed all kinds of attention in mainstream media, right? They said it in July, late July, early August. There's, as I noted in one of my articles, I think there's a lot more support for it now just because of what happened in Major League Baseball, right? Major League Baseball, put in these rule changes where some of the traditionalists were a little upset, right? And all it's done is made the game better. Like no one wants to go back to watching pitchers scratch themselves for 30 minutes, right? So I think it's gotten that kind of momentum because now you've seen in some games that you can make these major changes and it doesn't ruin the game, right? The Triple Crown's a little weird beast, right? I mean, everyone was saying modern horse can't win it. Then American Pharaoh and Justify happened in 3 years, right? And they did it convincingly, right? So we know a modern horse can do it. It's whether or not trainers want their modern horses to do it, right? So obviously, discussion about change is never a bad idea, but we'll have to see, what happens. If you change the Triple Crown, you change the whole summer season for 3-year-olds.
Yeah,
right?
that's the push bets.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's the Travers anymore? What's the Jim Dandy? The Belmont on July 4th? Not sure that's a good fit, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, if you change this thing, you change a lot of stuff down the road, and there would have to be some very serious discussions and agreement between all 3 tracks on what would be the ramifications of it and what they would have to do down the road to make sure that the 3-year-olds can stay in the spotlight, through the summer. So.
Yeah, and then that as I say, I see both arguments, but I think people have to recognize kind of the moving parts. If it does move, as you say, the summer season for the 3-year-olds, which is pretty good right now. The Haskell's sitting out there, nicely spaced from the Travers. If you don't want to go there, you go to the Jim Dandy. And then now we have the Pennsylvania Derby as a little later alternative, but all of that is going to juggle up with the switch in the Triple Crown. Yeah. So we'll have to tread lightly, I would say. Matt, appreciate the visit and a little update. As I say, we like to get you in here every year to talk about the industry confabs, where a lot is discussed, but not a lot moves. It seems like every year.
Well, Heisa was definitely a big movement. So between Heisa and Bob Baffert's legal troubles, I've stayed busy for sure. Yeah,
very good. And again, you can find Matt's work drf.com on a regular basis. Kind of I would say the hard news of the game is fair, right?
Yeah, probably.
Very good. Matt, appreciate the visit.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, again, some news and notes, but I'll also take a look at that Kings Plate field coming up on Sunday. Nice full field in there. We also have a shipper coming up from Saratoga, so it'll be an interesting event on a big card up at Woodbine on Sunday. We'll talk about that and some news and notes right after this. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Again, had a guest scheduled for this segment to talk a little Kings Plate. That's twice I've almost said Queen. I said yesterday. I'm going to say it. But it is now the Kings Plate. Again, there were a number of years where we went up to Woodbine for that. That was pre-pandemic. With the pandemic, it shifted. It used to be a late June race. But with the pandemic, it shifted to, now we overlap with Saratoga. So our game plan is actually to go up Woodbine Mile out of Woodbine. And I continue to say, if you've never been up, easy drive up the thruway and great facility. They treat you well and highly recommend it. But this Sunday will be the King's Plate with 17 runners entered and a couple also eligibles. I'll hit on that in just a moment. First, let me remind you, coming up at OTB, $100 trifecta challenge today at the Clubhouse Racebook. So keep that in mind. You can go down and have a little extra fun. Also, the Bounty Bet returns today. Just play the late pick 5 today with your Capital OTB bet account to get your shot at the Bounty. And coming up around noontime, we'll open up the Sunday show pool entries. So you can put your name in the hat. That'll go. That fills up pretty quickly, so it'll end early tomorrow morning. But keep that in mind for around noontime entries to the Sunday show pool. I will try to make some magic happen this Sunday for the show pool team. Tomorrow it's a fan appreciation day at the Queensberry branch. If you're a patron up in that direction, stop by so we can say thank you to you. Fan appreciation days, always a lot of fun. Food, contests, past performances. You'll have a lot of fun. Queensberry branch tomorrow, Saturday. Clubhouse Racebook tomorrow. $100 play the board contest. Have some fun tomorrow at the Racebook. Same spot Sunday, the double promo day. Match bet and exacta board. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Here at the racetrack, it's Bucket Hat Giveaway Day. I said, not in my wheelhouse. Bucket hat being, and I compared it to, and it's what Gilligan used to wear, the bucket hat. I didn't know those had a name, really. I thought they were sailor caps just with the brim turned down. I bet maybe is what it is, but now it's called a bucket hat, but obviously branded with Saratoga logo. So if that's in your wheelhouse, that's today, the bucket hat giveaway here at Saratoga. So keep that in mind as well. Some sad news yesterday. Art collector euthanized after suffering from laminitis. From what I read, in all 4 hoofs. They were planning to go for, I believe, the 3-peat. I'm just looking at 2021 won the Charlestown Classic. 2022 won the Charlestown Classic, and was aiming to try for the 3-peat this year. But our collector, unfortunately, laminitis and euthanized earlier this year. Won the Pegasus World Cup down at Gulfstream, and then second in the New Orleans Classic, second in the Ali Sheba, and again was working right up here, I believe, for Bill Mott and owner Bruce Lunsford. So again, sad situation there for Art Collector, who 23 career starts, 11 wins, 3 seconds, and $4.2 million in the bank. Art Collector. As I say, euthanized with the laminitis. Let's catch you up on where we stand right now on the human side of things up here at Saratoga in the midst of week number 6, day number 26 yesterday in the books. So, excuse me, 14 days still to go. On the jockey side of things, Irad Ortiz with a nice, what do you have, 3 yesterday, I believe. He had 1, 2, and then one night, 4 yesterday, actually. So, again, he's opened up a nice little lead. Irad Ortiz, 38 wins. Luis Saez, 27. Jose Ortiz, 25. Tyler Gaffleone, who had a nice week last week at 24. There are your leaders on the jockey side with, again, Irad Ortiz, 14 days left, an 11-win lead. Chad Brown has opened up a little bit on Linda Rice. Linda Rice, I think, had a couple yesterday. Yeah, she had the 1st and the 4th. But Chad Brown, 24 wins. Linda Rice, 21. Todd Pletcher, 17. Bounced down then to Bill Mott with 11 and Christophe Clement with 10. Rudy Rodriguez having a nice meet with 9 after he was a little slow up here last year, but we had him on earlier in the meet. Again, as he is having a nice little 2023 at Saratoga. So there's the human side of things up here at Saratoga 2023. Let's take a look now again, coming up on Sunday. Sunday it is for the King's Plate up at Woodbine, $1 million up for grabs for 3-year-olds. And we always say it's kind of their Kentucky Derby up there. And a good analogy because this year, 17 in here. I pulled up a replay of the plate trial going back to July 23rd. Each of the top 3 finishers will be coming back on Sunday. The winner is number 3, Paramount Prince, for Marquesi. Number 11, Cool Kiss runs second. Number 6, Twin City runs third. But Paramount Prince, nice little 5-length win in here, doing it pretty easily. Patrick Husbands, again, for Marquesi. You would have to think in a good spot off of this race. The question mark, as is the case with our Kentucky Derby, question mark becomes the distance, certainly. But this one went the 1.8 miles last time and did it nicely. And so, the 1.25 miles coming up on Sunday. Going to be a new ask in that this one before the plate trial had only sprinted 6 and 7 furlongs for Marquesi, then stretched out to the 1.8 miles and seemed to appreciate the 2 turns. So we'll see. 1.25 miles is a little bit of a different animal, but we'll see what Paramount Prince can do. That said, so we saw the first 3 from the plate trial, and they're clearly logical. But being an Ontario bred, Chad Brown is going to send up Kalick. Has been training right up here at Saratoga and comes in off an 8th place finish in the Belmont Derby down at Belmont on July 8th. But we're going to take a look at the race just before that, the Pennine Ridge, going back to June 3rd. Kalick will be the number 6 horse in here and gets it done very nicely, again, down at Belmont in June. And you would think, again, they then go on to the Belmont Derby and run 8th and haven't been seen since that July 8th race. And again, I don't know whether we have the replay of the Pennine Ridge or not, but if not, take my word for it, he won and then went on to the Belmont Derby and ran 8th. But you would have to think, having not been racing since July 8th and being an Ontario bred, they might have had this one in the can, ready to go up to Woodbine to take their shot in the King's Plate. So we'll see. We have a little local rooting interest as it is with the Bob LaPenta Chad and company, Chad Brown trainee. Kimura will be on board. One of the top I didn't pull up the current stats, but one of the top jockeys certainly up there at Woodbine. And I'm just looking to see if Castellano. I was looking to see if any of our New York jockeys scheduled to go up, and it looks like Castellano is the only one. He will be riding Stanley House, who in that plate trial that we just saw, a little bit disappointing running 6th in there, but intriguing that Javier Castellano electing to go up to jump on board one of the and again, it's as is typical, we've had a good time going up to the Queen's Plate in years past, and in years past it was the Queen's Plate, but it's a nice undercard of stakes as well. So again, Stanley House doesn't look like that big of a competitor in the necessarily in the King's Plate, but it wouldn't shock me if Castellano was maybe on board a live horse in some of the undercard stakes races. And I didn't pull up the entire card, but there are other nice stakes also coming up again on Sunday up at Woodbine King's Plate. Should be a fun card up there. And as I said, we look forward to coming up really right after the meet. I think a couple of weeks after Saratoga ends, Woodbine Mile Day, and our game plan is to head up and do a little live coverage from Woodbine for that. All right, just looking at my notes. Oh, I did have another note. Tomorrow, be aware, mandatory pay, Rainbow Six down at Gulfstream, and I think I read they're expecting over $1 million in the pool. We'll see. We'll see if somebody hits it today. That hasn't been a crazy, unusual circumstance at various tracks. So we're kind of like, can't wait for this mandatory. Everybody's going to jump in the pool, and then the day before somebody grabs it. So we'll see if somebody manages to do that today. But otherwise, one way or the other, I think it's a mandatory pool. But the expectation is, without it getting hit today, it'll be over $1 million tomorrow. That's Gulfstream Park, mandatory in their rainbow tomorrow. All right. And again, just looking at my notes, I think we have kind of covered everything. So I am going to wrap it up for this Friday afternoon. As you've been seeing kind of behind us, the sun has been flashing in and out. It is out right now. And I think that was the forecast. There was the rain overnight. Again, if you didn't hear, we're off the turf today with the rain we had kind of late. I mean, it was more early morning, I suppose, than overnight. But again, it knocked us off the turf up here. So make those changes accordingly and check for scratches and whatnot later on. But it seems like otherwise it may wind up being a very nice day. It's sunny. It's comfortable. Bucket hat giveaway day up here at the track. So keep that in mind as well. Mentioned it earlier when we had Gary Gullo in. Les Garten Foundation Day tomorrow. If you come to the track tomorrow between 11:30 and 12:30, there will be a trainer autograph table out by the Jockey Silks room. And again, if you don't know where that is, ask somebody, an employee. They'll point you in the right direction. But all the major players will be there. If you have a program or a picture you want signed, bring it up tomorrow for trainer autograph. We had the jockey autograph session earlier, but the trainer autograph session tomorrow, 11:30 to 12:30, right up here at Saratoga. And again, make a donation to the Les Garten Foundation. They do great work with research into pancreatic cancer. Again, we've covered everything, so we will wrap it up on this Friday. Back in and back at it tomorrow, Saturday morning, with more Racing Across America 10. The Handicappers Report will kick off at 9 a.m., and it will be Alabama Day tomorrow. And it is a very fun and intriguing edition of the Alabama tomorrow. Looking forward to going over that Handicappers Report and probably talking a little bit more about it as we proceed into Racing Across America as well. All right, I'm Seth Merrow. This has been Racing Across America for a Friday morning. Thanks for joining us as always. Enjoy the rest of the day wherever you plan to enjoy it from, playing from home on your computer or your mobile device with CapitalOTBBet.com, going to your local branch or Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, or come on up and enjoy Friday afternoon up here. But wherever you go, cash some tickets. And again, we'll see you tomorrow morning, Saturday, 9 a.m. Handicappers Report, 10 a.m. Racing Across America. See you then.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
The Clubhouse Racebook is the Capital Region's new home for racing and sports. 25,000 square feet of Vegas-style action with live wagering on the best horse racing from around the world. 260 flat-screen televisions and state-of-the-art wagering terminals. So don't miss out. The fun is only minutes away at 711 Central Avenue, Albany, just off exit 5 of I-90. And don't forget, if you can't make it to the Clubhouse, you can always wager online 24/7 at CapitalOTB.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.